What's going on, boxing fans? I'm here to talk about this upcoming matchup between Quintana and Joshua Clottey. This takes place on December 5th on the undercard of Williams vs. Pavlik for the middleweight championship. Um, First of all, this matchup is at a catch weight of 149 pounds. I really don't see the point in making this matchup a catch weight fight, but this fight could lead on to bigger and better things for both fighters. I know that Quintana wants to campaign at 154, and I know that Joshua Clottey wants to fight Paul Williams. So this could lead to depending on the matchup with Pavlik, this could lead up to a Paul Williams versus Quintana rubber match, or a Williams versus Clottey matchup. And we all know that Clottey wants a matchup with Williams. He's been campaigning for over a year. So maybe we could see that depending on this matchup here. But I think that this matchup being at a catchweight is ridiculous, because I know Clottey is a big welterweight. He rehydrates up to maybe 160, in between 160 and 165 between weigh-ins. And Quintana's been trying to fight at light middleweight for a while. So I think that this should be at, if they're trying to attract attention, of like a Paul Williams or a Corey Spinks or a Daniel Santos or Sergio Martinez or anybody, then they should make the fight at 154. So that's just what I think. I think they need to they should have made the fight at 154 instead of having it at a catch weight of 149. If Quintana could go down to 149, then he can go down to 147. That's what I think. It's just it's just a 2-pound difference, and we know Clottey can make 147. So it's either one division or another. They could they both, I think, should be at junior middleweight trying to campaign there. If Clottey can't get any fights at welterweight. So that's just my thought on the catchweight. But this matchup puts together two former welterweight champions. Quintana, the former WBO welterweight champion, and Joshua Clottey, former IBF welterweight champion. Both men were champions in 2007, but they didn't hold the belts simultaneously. On the Quintana could win the matchup if he can outbox Clottey. He will not look good doing so. But it's like, who looks good against Joshua Clottey? Joshua Clottey gives just about every fighter problems. So what he's gonna have to do is do pretty much what he did against Paul Williams. He's gonna have to beat him to the punch, or pretty much beat him to that guard. Because Joshua Clottey has a high guard. He covers up. So it's a matter of trying to hit him, trying to catch him with a shot before he gets into the guard. And it's all about the more effective blows. So Quintana's going to have to hit Clottey with some effective shots. So he's going to have to hit him before he gets into the guard. Clottey likes to be in that guard and let fighters pretty much punch themselves out at times, or he looks for countering opportunities coming out of that guard. So Quintana's going to have to circle and hit Clottey with some really meaningful blows. I think that he should pretty much mix it up a little bit. Go a little to the body, go a little to the chin. I think he's gonna have to make Clottey work, or keep Clottey in a stationary position so that he can get those shots. So I think Quintana has to be very mobile, because Clottey can't stay in that. I don't think Clottey could stay in the guard if Quintana circles and throws shots, because he's gonna have to move, and if he moves around that guard, you're gonna find an opening. So that's what I think Quintana needs to do to Clottey. But it's all about trying to get Clottey before he gets in the guard. That's just the main key for Quintana in this matchup. And for Joshua Clottey, he's gonna have to look. Pretty much, he's gonna have to look at his matchup with Miguel Cotto. Quintana does not like pressure at all, as you can tell in the Cotto fight. So if Clottey could go in and he could throw shots to the body, hard shots to the body, at that would prevent Quintana from moving around and whatever. So if he could go on the inside, make Quintana fight on the inside, the same way he made Cotto fight him on the inside, then Clottey pretty much has his match won. But the question is, will Quintana fight with Clottey on the inside? We won't know until December 5th. But on the inside battle, Clottey would definitely win. On the outside, Quintana will win. But there's times when Clottey isn't in that guard that Quintana could probably catch him with a few shots and win some rounds. But Clottey is gonna have to come forward the whole matchup, and he's gonna have to make Quintana engage in shots with him. That's how Clottey could win the matchup. But the problem is, does Clottey have that killer instinct that could knock out Quintana? Does he have the killer instinct that will win him the fight? And that's what didn't win him the fight against Cotto, is not having the killer instinct to knock him out. He had the match. I thought he had the match won in maybe the 11th round. When I watched his matchup with Cotto, I actually thought that Clottey was about to knock him out, because just because Cotto was hurt and he had one eye, and after watching that matchup, I just didn't think that Clottey had enough of that killer instinct to beat Cotto, or to take advantage of another fighter's disadvantages. That's what happened in the Zab Judah fight. I thought he could have knocked out Zab Judah, but that went to a technical decision. And Cotto, I thought he had Cotto backing up the just about the last half of the match. He had Cotto backing up away from him. I thought he should have knocked him out, but that's that's just Clottey. So I think that this matchup, Carlos Quintana will win it by a really close unanimous decision, because Joshua Clottey, I don't think will do enough to win this matchup. I think he'll have a few chances to win, but won't take advantage of it. But I think Carlos Quintana will do enough to get the victory. I think he'll win it by maybe 1 point. I see it being maybe a 114-113 matchup. I think that there could be a knockdown for Clottey. I'm not saying Clottey being knocked down, but Quintana being knocked down. I see Quintana being maybe knocked down one time, but I see Quintana getting up and getting the victory. So that's my thought on the matchup. Catchweight at 149. I think it's pointless, but we'll see what happens December 5th. Thanks for checking us out. This is Distance.